Pixel skies and neon lights, Satan gaming taking flight. There he is high, there he is mad, launch pads ready, ain't that bad. Amico forever, that's the way, Crayola colors gonna paint your day. Saggy Melon says okay, no swear gamer, what you say, have a Amico day. Moves, retro vibes and modern grooves. Tellerico's got nothing to lose,
except his house.
Gaming's hard, a digital beat, 8-bit dreams beneath your feet. Amico forever, that's the way, Crayola colors gonna paint your day. Saggy Melon says okay, no swear gamer, what you say, have a Amico day. Amico day.
Woohoo! Yeah! Welcome back, everyone. Oh boy, I forgot to set up the chat. I should almost put the intro song back on, and we'll be right back. I'm just gonna set up the chat.
There he is high, there he is mad, launch pads ready, ain't that rad. Amico forever, that's the way, Crayola colors gonna paint your day. Saggy Melon says okay, no.
Gamer, what you say? Have an Amico day. Okay, what a terrible start. Alright, let's see. Now, if anyone caught my last stream, sorry about all the freaking technical difficulties. Dear God, that had to be some of the worst audio I think I've ever had. We'll see how this show turns out. No, and really I didn't cover the topic very well, and after I've been chatting with, who is it, what's his name again? The Orange Cat or something. I got really upset with Orange Cat, and I just like to apologize to him, and to any other viewers I do this to. Like, here's this guy, or person, who knows the gender, but they're watching my show. Not only that, but they have the decency to leave a comment, and just because I don't agree with it, I freak out off the handle. So I'd like to say I'm sorry for that, and I'll try to relax and be a little bit more chill in the comment section. I should have realized that freaking YouTube was even warning me. They're like, we don't think you should post this comment. And I'm like, really? I didn't even know YouTube could tell you that. No, basically it broke down to an argument is I'm upset about Amico not doing better, and it's hard for me to take criticism at this point because I guess it has been going on for like 5 years or whatever, right? It's starting to get to you. And I'm having a couple health issues, but that's no excuse. But yeah, so today's show we're going to discuss what's happened recently in the world of Intellivision Amico. Is Pat and Ian, the CU podcast, I should say, Pat the NES punk. I know the thumbnail is kind of a little bit, I wouldn't say misleading, but it's more of like a joke. And to be fair, like, I do like the CU podcast, most episodes. And I've even contributed to the, what is it called, the patron or whatever of Pat's. I don't believe to Ian. Even not that I'm against donating to Ian. For some reason I thought it was going to both of them. So I looked into it a little bit more, or who knows, maybe I was wrong about that too. But anyways, what we were discussing last episode was that there was a big thing between Pat and Ian and the Intellivision, where they showed up at a convention, and it just so happened that Intellivision was being premiered by Atari, and Pat walked in the background and then like kind of photobombed it. I don't know, intentionally or by accident, but it was kind of hilarious. So I was waiting and waiting for Pat and Ian to release their own video to discuss what happened when they photobombed Atari when they were, premiering the Intellivision. So to summarize last episode, in case anyone didn't catch it and they don't want to sit through the horrible technical difficulties, we'll summarize it quick. Is that we were discussing how I kind of left a comment that it's ironic that Pat doesn't like Intellivision and he photobombed it. And then, the guy, not Orange Cat, he's the good guy, sorry for picking on him. And then, who is it, Super Bros, Utania. Well, we were all just discussing the new Intellivision and such. And it came up that it's kind of ironic that Pat was like against Intellivision coming out with like the new Amico for so many years, and he just so happened to be the person walking behind when they were making the announcement to like the YouTube press or whatever. So that was quite a thing. And yeah, I guess Pat was confronted about the YouTube press asking him like, did you really hate Intellivision? And from what I gather, well, I guess we'll go back into the comments. Where was it? Well, anyways, as if anyone saw it in the comments there, they were talking to Pat about it. Do I have that comment, or did I lose that one? Oh yeah, it's Intellivision Gamer was the channel covering it. We'll make it bigger so everyone can see it. That's what she said. Pat told me today that he likes Intellivision, but he just hates the Amico. So I was like, I don't know. Like, I watched the CU podcast quite a bit during the whole kerfluffle with the Amico. And to me, why I made the whole intro slide, where is it? Is I didn't watch Pat's content before Intellivision Amico. I admit that. Intellivision Amico is where I started. So to me, not like officially to anyone else, it's like Pat is the Amico punk, because all I know him as the person who makes fun of an Amico and Intellivision. So that's why I thought it was kind of funny that Pat was now changing the story, or from what we heard, he changed the story. We didn't really hear it directly from Pat, so we shouldn't be trying to put words in his mouth as much as possible. And Pat was like denying it, as far as we've heard, that he actually likes the Intellivision. So I was like, oh my god, like, here this whole time my memory must be as bad as I think it is, because yeah, it's like I could have swore I remembered that Pat and Ian didn't really have the fondest things to say about Intellivision, and that was one of the reasons why, on top of many others, that they didn't like the Amico. So yeah, and to be fair to that too, is they've never played the Amico until recently, from what I've heard, or held the controller. And Pat even has admitted recently on his show that he basically knows nothing about Intellivision. He didn't know the games, didn't play them. So a lot of these negative opinions that he has about Intellivision in general are all about something that he knows nothing about. Self-admittedly. So yeah, and the rest of the slide just kind of breaks down that, yeah, like Pat has apparently played the Intellivision at a convention, a demo unit that's unfinished, and then he had all these things to say about how he thinks the demo unit isn't very high quality. And I was like, but it's not a retail unit, so why would it be the highest quality? Like, or maybe even higher quality? Like, you never know when it comes to a demo unit, and why you would try to make a final opinion about the release quality of a product by judging it by the demo. I don't know, that was a kind of a messed up video. I didn't really get through all of it, to be honest. But the one that I did get through the whole thing was the Intellivision Sprint console announced. Pat talking about how that he doesn't actually hate Intellivision. That's how it starts. Him and Ian sort of break it down. It's almost like Pat and Ian, not to put words in their mouth, but before the show started, they're like, hey, we're going to make this episode kind of a saving face episode where we like pretend that we love Intellivision just so that we can like sort of say like, hey, like it wasn't just a personal grudge in the console war against Atari versus Intellivision or Pat versus Tommy. It was he actually liked Intellivision but just didn't like some of that stuff. So that's where I kind of got the impression where they were going. And that's kind of, to me, how the interview even started, right? Like, Ian did a great job sort of like breaking down that there are some things that he likes about Intellivision. It's hard for me to even say that. But what he was saying, which my favorite feature too, is that the overlay cards have these really neat art styles. And that is something that arguably Intellivision, like Ian said, should have been a theme that carried over with Amico. That like a continuous art style that would be like a gel that holds the whole brand together sort of thing. Like how Mario is like throughout some games or Nintendo specific art style is. You know, PlayStation has that realistic art style. So there are all those things. And did I forget to bring a drink for this show? Oh my god. Alright, let me go grab my drink and then we'll be right back. And if any viewers want comments, let me know in the chat. Because I guess Orange Cat, I might have scared him off by being mean to him in the chat, so I'm sorry. No, the thing I said to Orange Cat was, it kind of annoys me that people picked on Intellivision to the point where it cost investors $20 million. And like that is one of the laws where, like, especially in Utah, which is a criminal offense, you can get jail time. But if you slander and like libel a new startup company, it's not something that's very good. Like, especially in Japan, they have very strict laws about it too. I know, like, on the Pat's defense, like, he at one point was trying to save investors from investing in what he believed to be like a fraudulent company, or he just hated the brand Intellivision, so he hated it so much that he wanted people not to invest in this company. Or I guess he could break down exactly, I shouldn't try to put words, why he was trying to steer investors away. And my argument to that was like, at what point, Pat, though, like, was there already $20 million behind it? And at that point, are you really steering anyone away? Or are you just sort of tanking that already existing investment? And not that it's only his fault that it would be tanking. Like, I think Intellivision had its own fair share of problems, or Amico had its fair share of problems. We can see Intellivision, which Pat and Ian kind of broke it down funny in the show. Pat likes the cards, the art style. And then as the show progressed further on, was that Pat started to break down some of the things he doesn't like about Intellivision. And to be fair to Pat, I actually agree with one of them, where he is saying that the wheel on the Intellivision controller, when he tried it at this convention or whatever, it's good for some games, but terrible for others. Like ones where you need a precise D-pad. That's why, like PlayStation, they give you the D-pad option or the analog. Some games are going to be better with the analog, and some games, like, say, Street Fighter, are going to be better with the D-pad, depending on your preference, too, right? So that is the argument that Pat made. And what was the other thing? Oh, and then Pat started to really let loose about what his true feelings were about Intellivision. And he starts making rips about how if Atari re-released a new Intellivision game, like how they did with Atari cartridges, they remake these Atari cartridges, boom, they sell out like crazy, like hotcakes. So Pat's idea is that if Atari releases an Intellivision game, they'll be lucky to sell, what did he say, 7 or 20? Something like that. If anyone watched the episode, they can put it in the chat. Did he say like 7 or 20 or something like that? That's how many things he thinks they'll sell because Intellivision has no fans. And then he goes on a big rant about how Atari just kicked Intellivision's ass back in the console war days. And to be fair to Pat, like, sure there is that side of the argument, but he doesn't mention is that Intellivision was like the Rolls Royce, or like the, what would you call it, the Neo Geo of consoles, where you had to have thousands of dollars if you were going to buy it. And then Atari was like the Game Boy. It was like the $80 discount bin console that anyone and their poor neighbor could afford, right? Like, so that's why Atari was kicking ass. Wasn't it because the graphics in Atari were better than in Intellivision, or that the games were better in any regard? People can put in the chat, was there an Atari game that's actually better than the Intellivision equivalent? And which one is it? Or maybe even multiple, you might think. And I think the whole funniest part of that is we're not even getting into is it wasn't a console war between Atari and Intellivision. There was actually the third player in the game, which was Coleco, and Coleco was actually the one that was kicking ass. And how did they do it? Because Coleco released Intellivision quality products for Atari prices made by Russians, a Russian leather company. So everyone laughs, like, what happens if Soviet Russia came out with the console? It was basically the Coleco. They even came out with that crazy adapter that could play Atari games and then won the lawsuit to keep using it. It'd be like, yeah, if like PlayStation, or yeah, like say Amico came out and they put a cartridge adapter that could play Switch games. And then Switch is like, what? Or Nintendo would be like, what the fuck? You can't put a cartridge adapter on the Amico that can play Switch games, even though they're the same hardware. But so yeah, but that happened back in the day, and Coleco won. So that would be interesting. Now, and I got to go get my drink, or I guess I should just wrap this up. I don't want to make it a 2-hour broadcast. So yeah, I just thought it was funny that, like, and to be fair, of why I call Pat the Amico punk is because his channel, when you look at the views, arguably when he has good views, it's around 20k views, and when he releases NES content, it's around 10k views. So almost like double the amount of views for the Intellivision content. So that's why I call him Pat the Amico punk, because like his Amico content is arguably by far the best on his channel. You can throw in there the occasional video like when he rips on WADA, and those like, I'm not understanding that one either, why he hates WADA so much. I always looked at WADA as sort of like a new startup company trying to bring some legitimacy to gaming and even help the collectors by skyrocketing the price of their investments. But for some reason, Pat didn't like that idea, and he seems to really hate WADA as well. But so yeah, we can't say that Pat just hates Amico and Intellivision. His other hateful content against WADA is also very popular. And you can't really pick on Pat, I think, either, for making such like hate-based content that's popular, because we look at what's his name, the other guy that loves the Intellivision controller so much he invested $10,000 upon playing it. Who was that? Smash JT. Yeah, he's made a channel, not to make fun of it, but it's like skyrocketed in views. He's over 100k subs. He's almost gonna pass Pat and Ian soon. And I'm pretty sure I subscribed to him when he was like around 1,000. So yeah, like he's doing such a great job, but not to make fun of it, like everyone's got to do what they can to make their channel, but his channel breaks down to picking on women, like women that do gaming reviews and stuff, and like arguably the woman doing the gaming was pretty offensive, and maybe people should pick on her for equality reasons. Like if you're going to pick on anyone, you can pick on men, women, or whatever. But to me, it's like I'm more old-fashioned, where I wouldn't really want my claim to fame to be like kicking a woman while she's down. That's not really my way of going. My way is probably even worse. Not that I'm the moral high ground or anything, but yeah, it's like, yeah, he that is without sin cast the first stone, right? But we see that Pat and what is it, Smash JT, the hateful content, yeah, that's enough to boost anyone's channel like big time. I don't know. For me, like my guilty thing for trying to get my channel better now is having the dogs. Like my channel has literally gone to the dogs. I got a dog, and his videos are far more popular than anything my channel has ever released before. So that's probably the direction our channel's going. But yeah, so I to each their own, right? You can't pick on one or the other. Oh, and that was the thing with Orange Cat. I was thinking about it to myself. Here I am making fun of the Orange Cat by telling him he shouldn't try to damage startup companies, especially when a guy put his life savings on the line and lost his house. Who knows, probably put strain on his whole family life too. like his dad died in the whole process, for God's sakes. But yeah, like that's the thing. And I was like, oh my God. I think, yeah, should we wrap this up? Yeah, well, as far as what's going to be happening with the future of Intellivision, or was it Pat was saying that the Intellivision acquirement from Atari has pretty much reached a dead end, and that Atari is just going to release the Sprint, and then that's it for the Intellivision. But the irony is, when Pat photobombed Atari, they were actually doing an interview saying the exact opposite of what Pat was saying. And it's kind of funny. So you can go and watch that interview. But no, in the interview, they said that what happened was Intellivision is such a hot seller right now and like one of the most popular topics in gaming that they needed to get a console out right away by Christmas. And they said that their ultimate goal is releasing the Intellivision that can play ROMs off SD cards, but also a cartridge so you can play your original collection. So I was like, holy, so what happened? So they said it was going down the Amico route where it's not so easy to get this console made in time. And you can imagine the heat they would get if they keep delaying it, like we've seen happen with Tommy. So anyways, what they did is they just said, hey, we'll make an easier product that we can actually finish, which I think Amico should have done, arguably. But so that cheaper version is, or less featured version, is just not going to have the cartridge slot yet. So they are planning a line of new Intellivision consoles. And it turns out the guy behind Atari, he said he loves Intellivision even more than Atari. I was like, oh my God, even the Atari employees love Intellivision. So that's just where I think it's a bit ridiculous. I think it's almost like WWE at this point. Is Pat really hating? Like he said he never even heard of Utopia. He didn't know Intellivision had like the first Minecraft ever invented, or the first SimCity, or the first Roblox. That's why it had that much potential. They literally have heavy hitters that big, or arguably had. Now they don't anymore because Atari got them, but but I think it's good in a way that Atari's gone this route and acquired Intellivision, because I don't think Atari and Tommy are really hating each other at this point, and they might even be working a little bit together behind the scenes. Sort of like how Pat might just be playing up his hatred for Intellivision, really just because he's built a whole channel about it, so it's like, or at least half of his channel, arguably. So I don't know. I think I covered everything I said in the last video, and hopefully this time with audible sound. I'm going to go check out how it turned out now. I know this is kind of just off the cuff in a live stream, probably pissed some people off with some of my opinions here, but in all fairness, I encourage everyone to watch the CU podcast, and it's actually Pat, the NES punk. I'm just kidding around with this. No, I heard that Italians can tease each other a bit, and I'll just identify as Italian. I'm hairy enough to be one, except for the top of my head. It's the only place in my whole body that doesn't grow a very thick coat. I'm sure all the viewers wanted to know that. Okay, so yeah, we covered the he played at the convention. He tried to pretend like he doesn't hate Intellivision, but he couldn't do it for very long. But it was still a good episode. And oh yeah, and then if anyone hadn't heard, the Intellivision, just another thing that Pat got way wrong. I think him and Ian were saying that, or a lot of haters were saying in general, that the Intellivision in a matter of time would just be found in the Amico would be found in the discount bin at like the dollar store, and you couldn't give them away. And not only wasn't that true, but the Amico sold for thousands of dollars just for one console. So isn't that interesting, eh? But yeah, you can't be right about everything, and I get my fair share of things wrong, especially with what I said to the Orange Cat about making fun of him, saying that, yeah, people that slander startup companies should really just be silent. Because really, I think, in hindsight, it's the free world, and it's really that drive when Orange Cat could just be my biggest fan, and he's trying to push me to try harder to get the Amico going, to help with the campaign, to keep the face of, in spite of a lot of criticism. and to like try harder when I work harder on other projects, and say not sit around and play video games or smoke all day or whatever it is. But yeah, in life in general, don't be the hater, be the creator, right? We all have the potential to create or hate, and it's really up to us. And I shouldn't say don't do one or the other, because as much as creation seems better than hate, it's always the cycle of one and the other, creation and destruction, right? So it's how the universe works, and it's a part of the balance. And God, Pat does his job really well. You can't argue with that. All right, cheers to Pat and Ian. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot to say too, I hadn't watched the CU podcast for a little while because their Amico content went low, and they had to boost the ratings again, so finally they're covering their hottest topic. But anyways, since I'd seen them, Pat and Ian are looking great. And it's like, after seeing my health go down and those two weren't, well, maybe they weren't looking good, arguably, and now like Ian, I swear he looks like he's in his early 20s. Pat's looking in better shape than ever. And yeah, and then they're both looking pretty happy in general. So that's kind of how I wish it would have went. It was that everyone could have had a nice balance of Amico coming out, some people liking it, others not. Pat feeding one side of the argument, others feeding the other. And there's some speaker that keeps beeping, and I'm gonna go throw it out the window. Just kidding. I gotta keep my temper in check. All right, bye for now, everyone. Have an Amico day. Oh, and make sure to like, sub, and share. And if you haven't checked out the Amico song yet, check it out. You know your narcissism has gone too far when you're a YouTuber, talking to yourself, making a song with AI about everything you like, and then listening to it yourself. And you're the only one. No, just kidding. There's also the orange cat. Thanks a million. Bye for now. See you later. Yeah, sorry, orange cat. I'm not being disingenuous. I'm actually sorry. That was terrible. Bye for now. Here's the exit. Later. Have an Amico day. I'll be better, I swear. Jeez, I'm almost as bad as Tommy. Almost.
Tommy's got a dream so bright, pixel skies and neon lights, Satan gaming taking flight. There he is high, there he is mad, launch pad's ready, ain't that rad? Amico forever, that's the way, Crayola colors gonna paint your day. Saggy melon says okay, I'll swear gamer, what you say? Have a Amico day. Moves, retro vibes and modern grooves. Tellerico's got nothing to lose. Gaming's hard, a digital beat, 8-bit dreams beneath your feet. Amico forever, that's the way. Crayola colors gonna paint your day. Saggy melon says okay, I'll swear gamer, what you say? Have a Amico day.